What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to BDJ Gaming. I know it's been a minute since I've uploaded. I've been taking a break from a lot of these games. Really haven't had too much to play, but trust me, we are back. WWE 2K25 came out, MLB The Show 25. You guys know me. I always are doing franchise mode. Love doing franchise mode. And I just hope these games bring me some more life to gaming because the last few months I really haven't been feeling. I've mostly just been playing Fortnite here and there. NBA 2K play now online, but other than that, I really haven't been gaming as much as I used to. So hopefully these games get me back into the fold a little bit. So we're gonna be starting with the NL Central. We're gonna start with my favorite team, the St. Louis Cardinals. Now this is a team, obviously, that is taking a step back this year. They're not really trying to win necessarily, but they're not just like flat out tanking. They couldn't trade a lot of their veteran pieces, unfortunately, and we'll have to see what happens with Arenado. I do think he's going to end up getting moved. And they got some veterans who didn't really want to waive their no trade clauses, like Wilson Contreras and, you know, Sonny Gray. So they got some interesting decisions to make. So let's take a look at the St. Louis Cardinals roster here. Starting rotation, you got Sonny Gray, veteran, 35 years old now. He's got 3 years left on his contract. Hopefully he gets together in real life because he was awful in spring training. You have Eric Fetty, last year of his contract. Maybe if we're not competing, we put him on the trade block. He's very good last year, so he definitely has some value. Steven Matz, a guy who just hasn't worked out for the Cardinals. He's also in the last year of his deal. So starting rotation is going to be something we really have to focus on because we got already two starters that we've looked at, contracts expiring. So we're really going to have to look to the draft, free agency, trades for starting pitching. Steven Matz, the thing that's interesting about him is he's not been bad. He's just been hurt a lot. Like his ERA is obviously in 22 and 24 not really great, but like he was great in 23. He just can't stay healthy, and I feel like that's the reason he struggled as well. Because when he's been healthy, he's been solid. So hopefully he can stay healthy for us, get us something back in the trade. Miles Michaelis, also on an expiring contract. Not a good extension the Cardinals gave him. He has not been good the last 2 years. Really, when he first got to the Cardinals in 2018 now, man, 7 years now with the Cardinals, he was fantastic. I think he was like third in Cy Young voting. He just hasn't been able to really be consistent. He was good in 22, then they gave him that extension. So another guy, he's 36 now. His overall is probably going to start declining. We'll probably look to move him. And then we got Andre Palante, who his overall is not doing him justice. He was fantastic last year, arguably our best starting pitcher. Hopefully he can have a good season for us as a fifth starter. We got Quinn Matthews, who's our top pitching prospect, who a lot of Cardinal fans are very high on, including myself. Maybe he eventually gets in our rotation if we make some deals. We got Tink Hence, another high prospect in the Cardinals organization. Could he be a starting pitcher? Could he be a reliever? We'll have to see how he pans out. Michael McGreevy, another young pitcher. So the Cardinals have some young pitching. I don't know if they have anybody who's going to be a flat out ace, but they have some potential arms in this system that could be 3, 4, 5 starters. Now, I do think Tinkins and Quinn Matthews could be a solid 1 or 2, depending on how they pan out. But I don't think the Cardinals have that potential a potential prospect. So we also got Gordon Graceffo. And after that, a lot of C's. You got Takea, I always mispronounce his name, Takoa Roby, who we got in the Jordan Montgomery deal. He's intriguing, but he still has not been consistent. Cooper Hajurpi, I think that's how you pronounce it, we got in the draft a few years ago. He could pan out to be something. So the pitching side's definitely very on the older side. So we definitely got to focus on that. Relief, we got JoJo Romero, who was fantastic for us last year. Really a great pickup. We got him in the Edmundo Sosa trade from Philly. Ryan Fernandez, who we got in the Rule 5 draft last year. He was really good, only 26. And we got one more year with JoJo Romero after this, so we don't have to move him right away. And then after that, it's really not a lot to work with here when it comes to relief. We got Kyle Lee, who's a 66 overall. Matthew Liberatore, a.k.a. Libby, who the Cardinals just haven't really put him in a consistent role. He's a reliever. He's a starter. We're going to keep him as a reliever. But he just needs to find a consistent role because it's hard to go from a starter to a relief pitcher to a starter to a relief pitcher and just be all over the place. John King, Zach Thompson, Chris Roycroft. So not a lot to work with when it comes to relief. We do have Ryan Helsley, though, who's also in the final year of his deal. So the Cardinals, in real life, and me as a GM in this series, or in this video, is going to have a lot of decisions to make because who do we keep and who do we get rid of? Because they have a lot of guys on expiring contracts, especially on the pitching side. I mean, Helsley's been fantastic. The Cardinals don't really pay big money for relievers if you go off their history. So I don't know if they're going to keep Ryan Helsley. I thought he was going to get traded in the offseason. He even said in the interview, his last game pitching for the Cardinals, he thought he was going to be traded. He thought that was his last time pitching in a Cardinal uniform, but he's back. So that's why I say I don't think the Cardinals are trying to necessarily tank, but I don't know if they're going to be great. But the NL Central is wide open, so maybe we could even make the playoffs. We got catcher Ivan Herrera, who I have a lot of high hopes for, only 24 years of age, got a lot of team control left. And Pedro Pajes, who's not really known for his bat, but he's a very good defensive catcher. I do hope Ivan Herrera turns out to be our catcher of the future. And then speaking of former or catchers, Wilson Contreras, who's now a first baseman, I think this is a great move for Contreras. He had a lot of injuries last year, and now he can play first base and DH and focus strictly on hitting, which he's one of the best hitters in the game. So I really like that move from the Cardinals. First base after that, though, we got Luken Baker, who's 27, Chandler Redmond. But after that, we need to get probably some young first basemen just in case. Nolan Gorman, who the Cardinals are hoping turns out, I mean, he really struggled last year. He's really struggled in spring training. The power is there. Excuse me, the power is there for Nolan Gorman, but it also comes with a ton of strikeouts, and that's a huge question mark for him coming to the season because the Cardinals are going to give their young players opportunity. We're going to give him opportunity at second base to play, but he strikes out a ton. We got Thomas Ajayci, who could be a very good utility player for us down the line. Maybe he's on our bench. And then we have Nolan Arenado, who they ended up not trading, and maybe they trade him at the trade deadline, and maybe that's something we do. He's owed $32.5 million for the next 3 years. I know he's really regretting not opting out of that deal. I know Mozeliak told him like, oh yeah, we're going to make some moves, and they only signed Contreras and didn't do much. The Cardinal front office has just been not very good at making promises. But Arenado, his production has dropped off a little bit offensively. Not a little bit. He had his worst season of his career besides really his first 2 years in the league. So he's got to get back to. But I think a motivated Nolan Arenado is going to do good. Maybe the Cardinals get some value back for him. He didn't want to go to Houston because they traded Kyle Tucker to the Chicago Cubs. So we'll have to see. We have Mason Wynn, who's our shortstop for the future. He's going to be an absolute stud if he isn't already. Can't wait to see how better he gets. And then J.J. Weatherholt, who I don't know if he's going to make a significant impact in this franchise, but I'll tell you what, the Cardinals got a steal with him in the draft. One of the best hitting shortstops in the game when it comes to prospects. And we'll have to see what he becomes. But, man, he could be a stud. We got Brendan Donovan in left field. I feel like his overall is not really where it should be. I think it should be at least at 80, personally. We got Michael Ciani in center field along with Victor Scott II. Both their overalls not great. We'll have to see how they do this season. If not, we might have to look for center field. And then we got Lars Nootbaar in right field. We have a lot of outfielders. Newt, he's just got to stay healthy. Hopefully he can stay healthy in this franchise. And his numbers aren't jumping off the page, but I think he has a lot of potential to do better than what he's done. And then we have Jordan Walker, who I really hope pans out. I'm a big fan of Jordan Walker. The Cardinals have really messed with him mentally, I think, and just hopefully he gets it together. I'll be giving him a lot of playing time. And Alec Burleson as well, like a guy who had 21 home runs last year. He's known for his hitting, not a fielder, but man, he can hit. I mean, I'm telling y'all, you don't know a lot about Alec Burleson. This guy, I mean, he could probably get 20 home runs a year for the rest of his career and hit like 280. He is a fantastic hitter. So that's the team we're working with here. Not the greatest team. Again, the Cardinals aren't trying to win a postseason series most likely this year. But there are some pieces we can potentially trade to improve our farm system, improve our team for next season. I'm doing 3 seasons again, so I'll get right to it, see what we can work with, and I'll see y'all if we make any trades or if anything big happens. Sign a free agent, former Oakland A's pitcher, hopefully accepts his contract, Zach Jackson, which he signed 1-year deal, $3 million. Phil Maton did sign with the Cardinals, but they didn't update the roster yet, but he is also a Cardinal. We're just looking through free agency, seeing if there's anybody we can pick up to help our roster. Our first draft done, and we drafted a shortstop. I think we had the 5th pick, I believe. Clint Bathe. I know we have J.J. Weatherholt, Mason Wynn, but maybe J.J. Weatherholt is involved in a trade or something if we're competing. You never know. So Clint Bathe looks like he could be very good. He's number 1 on our draft board, so we were scouting him a lot, and we'll have to see how that goes. Manny Cervantes, who's a starting pitcher, which we needed some starting pitching. Not really a lot of high prospects, so hopefully he pans out to be something. And then Emil Vila, who is a third baseman, which with Nolan Arenado potentially getting traded, we need a lot of third base depth in the organization. We have a first baseman, Andres Rivas, Jamie Irwin, also a third baseman, Alexis Mendoza-Burks, who's a relief pitcher, and then we have Juan Moreno, who's also a relief pitcher. So we got some potential good prospects coming to the wings in this draft. The Cardinals are usually pretty good at drafting. I try to keep that going here. So we'll have to see. So I will see you guys at the trade deadline or if we make any trades. So first trade we're going to accept, the Cleveland Guardians are offering to Sam Hinches, who's having a fantastic season. .83 ERA. Our bullpen's not the greatest, so this helps us get our bullpen some help. He's under club control till 2028, which is the end of this franchise. For Miles Michaelis, who's not having a horrible season, ERA of 4.89 record. Free agent to be, he's 36, his overall starting to decline already. We have Quinn Matthews, who's not been at the major league level this year. I decided to start him in AAA. 1.24 whip, 3.29 or 2.29 ERA and 11-3 record. I think he deserves an opportunity to start, so we're going to accept this trade. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the trade deadline. We're actually playing really well this season. The Cubs are in first, 63-46. We're at 61-49. Brewers are 59-50, and the Pirates are 3 games under 500, and the Reds are 13 under 500. So we have a shot at making the playoffs, believe it or not. So let's say everybody's been performing lineup-wise. Michael Ciani hitting leadoff, which is weird. I don't know why he's hitting leadoff. So let's look at Mason Wynn. Not really having a great season. 8 home runs, 34 RBIs, 257 average. Definitely could get those numbers up, but he's not having like an awful season. Brendan Donovan's been solid. 9 home runs, 37 RBIs. His slugging is about where his career is. 371 average. Ivan Herrera is hitting third in our lineup, which he's not having a bad year. The power's not really there, but 273 average, 26 home runs. He's going to have a career year. Wilson Contreras, the power has just not been there. Only 9 home runs. Man, that's not what you want to see. Not a lot of power in our lineup so far. Alec Burleson with 12 home runs, 52 RBIs. Great year for Alec so far. Arenado, another guy who's not having a bad season, but his power is just evaporated. I mean, only 10 home runs. Him and Contreras, I really thought would at least have like maybe 15 to 20 by now. Both of them are very having down years when it comes to power. Jordan Walker has 14 home runs. That's what you like to see, getting that power back that he's known for as a prospect. And then Michael Ciani, not known for his bat. 2 home runs, 27 overs, only hit 227. And then we have Nolan Gorman, who I think I might need to hit him third and move Herrera maybe to... We might have to move Arenado to 8th in the lineup. I mean, he's not really been providing a ton offensively. He is hitting 281, though. Maybe we put Herrera down to 8th. I know he's not having a bad year, but he's not providing a whole lot offensively. But how about Nolan Gorman? 18 home runs already, so he's leading our team in power, which is what you want to see. He's hitting 268, which is fantastic for Nolan Gorman as well, because he don't hit a lot for average. Let's look at our bench. Thomas to JC. And by the way, if you're wondering where Newt Bar is, Newt Bar ended up getting hurt. Let me go show you all that real quick. So we had 2 players who got hurt. Zach Jackson, who we signed in free agency, tore his groin. Had a great season going too, 3.89 ERA, so he'll be back maybe before the playoffs. And then Newt Bar's out 3 to 4 weeks with a broken hand. Was having a solid year as well, 9 home runs, 34 RBIs. So if you guys are wondering where Newt Bar was, I didn't trade him, just hurt. So JC not providing a lot offensively. Victor Scott's been awful this year so far. Pages is not providing. So our bench is very bad right now. I mean, there ain't no other way to put it. Let's take a look at the pitching side. Eric Fetty's been fantastic, 12-4, 3.38 ERA. We might have to consider re-signing Fetty, free agent to be. And then we have Steven Matz having a great year as well, 5-7, 3.89 ERA. So we'll have to decide what to do with Steven Matz. I mean, he is a free agent to be, obviously, but I think we'll be able to replace him pretty easily in our rotation. Quinn Matthews hasn't pitched yet this year. Gave him an opportunity with Michaelis getting moved. Andre Palante's been okay, 4.85 ERA. And then Sonny Gray has been great, veteran presence. Him and Fetty and Matz have really carried this rotation, which I thought the rotation was a little bit of a question mark too. A lot of veterans, but not any like, besides Sonny Gray and Matthew, or Eric Fetty, like any high overalls. So let's take a look at the bullpen. Matthew Liberatore, excellent, 1.29 ERA. McGreevy's had a solid year as well in that long relief role. Jojo Romero's been fantastic, 2.04 ERA. Ryan Fernandez has been great as well. Kyle Leahy's not been great, ERA of 5. Darren Benjamin, who's a rookie we had, 2.85 ERA for Darren, so he's really been good in his first major league season. And then Ryan Helsley, we moved out of the closer role. He's not been great this year. 27 saves, 8 blown saves, ERA close to 4, just very un-Helsley-like. So hopefully he can get going. We could look to trade him. I don't know, though. We're actually in the playoff hunt, like I said, so I don't know if we really want to move our arguably best reliever overall-wise. And we moved Sam Hinches to the closer role. He's been so good. Why not try to switch it up with Helsley struggling a little bit? ERA 1.38. So what does this team need? Obviously, we could use a better bench. Maybe another starter, potentially. We'll see what's out there on the trade block or available through trade. And I'm going to look through everything. If I make any big deals, I'll let you guys know. we're at the end of the season, and I didn't make any moves. I figured, we were getting Newt Bar back, move one of our starting players currently to the bench, and we'll be fine. The bullpen was good. The starting rotation was fantastic. I thought, okay, we're playing well. Maybe let me not mess with it. We weren't really expecting to have a great season. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I regretted it. 82 and 80 final record. I mean, we finished 2 games above 500, which is better than I thought we would going into this season. But man, we struggled. I mean, we really struggled. And the Cubs win the division 88 and 74. Brewers make the wild card 86 and 76. Pirates turned it on and finished 6 games above 500. We only finished above the Reds, so not great. Let's say how everybody did and why we didn't make the playoffs. So Mason win. Expecting better next season for Mason, but not a horrible season. I mean, 12 home runs, 58 RBIs, about where his numbers were last year. Brennan Donovan, solid season. 11 home runs, 51 RBIs, 268 average, slugged 400. Nolan Gorman had a great year, 24 home runs, 74 RBIs, hit 241, which is a career high, slugged 425. So a good year for Nolan Gorman. That's what you like to see. Contreras ended up finishing with a solid season, 16 home runs. But for playing 133 games, you at least expect 20. Still hit, 284, not horrible, or 264, excuse me, from Contreras. Like, not a horrible season, but definitely expected better. Alec Burleson with 20 home runs, 84 RBIs, 280 average, so a great year for Alec. Jordan Walker with a good year as well, 23 home runs, 81 RBIs, slugged 239. Good year for Jordan Walker, so you like to see the growth of some of the young players. Nolan Arenado, not a bad year for Nolan. I mean, 16 home runs, about where he was last year. That's just the numbers you're going to get for Nolan Arenado at this stage of his career. Might not be worth the $32.5 million, especially with the defensive drop-off, but still solid production. Ivan Herrera, not awful. I mean, we have a lot of guys hitting for solid average. It ain't like we're having guys hit like 210, but definitely expect a little bit more growth offensively next season. Newt Bar hit 293. He only played 91 games, which is unfortunately been the norm for Newt. He can't stay healthy, but like a good year for Newt Bar. And then look at our bench. Luken Baker didn't even really play, had one at bat. Victor Scott did not do anything offensively. Pedro Pajes for a backup catcher, I'll take 6 home runs. That's not bad at all. Ciani didn't provide much offensively either. So our lineup, not horrible. I think we could use a little bit of a adjustment for the bench in the free agency. We'll have to see. Let's take a look at the starting rotation. 14 and 7 for Eric Fetty, 3.56 ERA. I'll definitely bring him back on like a 2-year deal or something. Definitely could be a good second, third option on rotation. Steven Matz had a horrible second half. I mean, I was looking at his stats. I think we looked at his stats at the trade deadline. He had like an ERA of 3.3 or something. Horrible second half. Quinn Matthews was not good in his first full season, or first season in general at the major leagues. And then Palante wasn't good. So rotation, definitely something we got to look at. Sonny Gray was great, though. 15 and 9, ERA at 2.31. Great year for Sonny. Matthew Liberatore, ERA went up a little bit, but still overall a great season for Matthew Liberatore. And then you had Tink Hens, who pitched 10 innings, 2.81 ERA, got a little taste of the big leagues. Jojo Romero was fantastic, ERA at 2. Ryan Fernandez was great, ERA went up a little bit, but still ERA under 3. I'll take that any day of the week. Darren Benjamin, ERA under 3 as well. First major league season was a success. Helsley, listen, if you're a pitcher and you're going into free agency and you have a season like this, definitely not what you want to see, but it could help us potentially re-sign Helsley. Maybe he won't be overly expensive. We could offer him a cheap deal, maybe even a 1-year prove-it deal, because he was not good this year. And then Zach Jackson, who we signed to a 1-year deal. We have him for 3 more years of arbitration. Good year. He was hurt, but he put up solid numbers as well. And then Sam Hinches, not great in the closer role. 11 out of 15 in save opportunities, but 2.44 ERA. So our team definitely could use some improvement. I will definitely make some moves. I ain't going to make that same mistake twice and not do any moves like I did at the trade deadline. So I will go to the offseason. I'll let you guys know what moves we make. In the offseason, we're going to trade Nolan Arenado to the Yankees. We're not going to get a lot back with his age and money. He's always age 34, but it opens up a lot of cap space for us to make more moves. We're getting Zane Hatfield, 21 years old, and Christopher Familia for Nolan Arenado. It's upon us, and I tried to make some moves. I made a few moves, but I really didn't make as much moves as I wanted to make. Sonny Gray's still in our rotation. We ended up signing Ranger Suarez, and I overpaid a bit for him, but nobody wanted to come to St. Louis. I kept offering free agents deals. They were not interested, and they were getting better contract offers, or they were more comfortable going somewhere else. But we did get Ranger Suarez. He had an ERA close to 5 last year. Yes, we overpaid like crazy for him, 25.3 a year for 4 years. But we had to get some rotation help. Hopefully he pans out. Eric Fetty, Quinn Matthews. And we signed Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler, they added a thing this season or this MLB where free agency or free agents will reach out to you if you have a positional need. You can pretty much set what you need. Like if you need a center fielder, a starting pitcher, you can set that up, and they will sometimes have their agents contact you and say, "Listen, we're interested in coming to your team. We're ready to sign right now." Walker Buehler didn't have a good year last year, only pitched 6 games, but maybe he has a bounce back season, and maybe he's a valuable, long relief or starter for us. So we'll have to see. Relief core is still pretty much the same. We did lose Ryan Helsley. I tried to bring him back. He was not interested. We did get Raisel Iglesias coming off a good season, 50 saves. So hopefully he has a good season for us in that closer spot or maybe set up spot. Catcher's still the same. First base. Second base, we got Nolan Gorman. Third base, I tried to get a third baseman. I kept trying to offer and offer and offer. I'll have to look at the trade deadline maybe for some trades. We'll have to see how, Yohan Moncada does. He had an okay year last year. Maybe he has a solid year and fills that gap for us. But we had to get off that Arenado contract. That's one of the reasons we were able to sign Ranger Suarez. Then we got Mason Wynn. I was going to get a center fielder, but I forget sometimes we have Newt Burleson and Jordan Walker who could all play the outfield. Newt could play center field. I was going to sign Rangel Grichuk. But I was like, oh, yeah, we got like 6 outfielders. So do I see us having a good season? Potentially. We did make some moves to improve a little bit. I mean, losing Arenado, we lose a little bit of his bat and defense, but, that contract wasn't really worth it. If we look through free agency, there's not a lot really here that helps us tremendously that's left. So, I mean, we kind of got to just work with what we got. And maybe I'll look at some trades before the season starts. If I end up making any deals, I'll let you all know. But hopefully the second season goes well. That's a third baseman, Josh Young from the Rangers. I think that's how you pronounce it. I always say Josh Jung. I'm pretty sure it's Josh Young. Any Rangers fans, I apologize. We're going to get him from the Texas Rangers. They have, Josh H. Smith who can fill that gap for him. He's 28 years old. He's under contract for 2 more seasons after this, so we're good for this franchise. He had 19 home runs last year, add some pop to our lineup. And we're going to give up Gordon Graceffo, who doesn't really have a spot with us. He's still in, I think, the minor leagues right now if we started the season. And Victor Scott, who just hasn't hit. I don't really see a defined role for him either. So we're giving up some depth to shore up one of our positions of need. The second draft is officially over. We ended up drafting Domingo Nunez, center fielder, with our first-round pick. Could amount to something. We got one more season left after this, so who knows if any of these guys are actually going to make the team. Eduardo Benitez, a first baseman, 18 years old, so very raw prospect, but could make an impact potentially. Maybe use him as a trade chip. We have starting pitcher Rick Stafford, who definitely helps our starting pitching depth. Another starting pitcher, Micah Copen. Sean Dorsey, a starting pitcher. So we really went after pitching in this draft. Tim Priest, Waylon Zimmerman. So a lot of pitching in this one. So not too mad about how this draft turned out. MLB trade deadline. We're going to end up trading JoJo Romero, who's having a solid season, not as good as last year, but he's a free agent to be. We're going to trade him to the Detroit Tigers for Jason Foley, who has another year of control, so we got him for the final year of this franchise. Second trade deadline. I'm not going to lie to y'all. It's been a disaster season. We're 15 games under 500. I thought we'd at least be at 500 by now. It's just been a disaster. I think the last season is going to be the only opportunity we have to at least make the playoffs. Let's see how everybody's been doing, and we might have to make some tough decisions on selling off some pieces. So Michael Ciani, I don't know why they keep putting him in the leadoff spot. I keep moving Mason Wynn there, and they just keep on wanting to put Ciani in the leadoff spot. So Mason Wynn just hasn't hit like I thought he would in this franchise yet. Hopefully next season's really the season he helps us make a playoff run, because that's our only hope in this franchise. Just not a good year for him. Brendan Donovan's been fantastic. 320 average, hitting for good average. Over 450 slugging, 11 home runs, 45 RBI. So a career year on the way for Brendan Donovan. Maybe we look to move him potentially for a good package since he's playing well. Ivan Herrera, having an okay season. I mean, he hasn't really hit like I thought he would either so far. And then Nolan Gorman's having a solid season, 17 home runs, 44 RBIs. Alec Burleson, another solid year for him, 17 home runs, 59 RBIs. Numbers are a little down, but not horrible. Josh Young's been great for us, 18 home runs, 59 RBIs, 280 average. Contreras has just been awful. Only 6 home runs for Wilson? Really? His power stats aren't even horrible. Like, at least Nolan Arenado's power stats are down. His is still 75 against lefties. Man, maybe we look to get off Wilson Contreras' contract at the trade deadline. Maybe we attach a prospect to him and try to get him out of here because, I mean, It'll open up a lot of cap space. Maybe we can go out and get a first baseman who's going to hit because, man, Willie is just not hit at all. Those numbers are awful. Newbar is not really hit for much power either. He has 277 average, but he also had an injury, which has been a key for Newbar. I might have to move off him. He's not been able to stay healthy. And then Michael Ciani is not hit at all. And then we have Michael Hellman, who's not hitting. Lucan Baker, who we called up, hasn't really had a big sample size. Pedro Paez has been decent. And then Yohan Moncada has actually been a solid bench bat for us, so that's good to see. So let's take a look at the pitching side of things. Sonny Gray, solid year, not as good as last year, but 9-5, 3.55 ERA. Maybe we look to move off Sonny Gray and open up some money. I mean, we got a lot of big decisions to make, especially if we're going to try to go for it in this final season. Rangers Flores, solid, 5-10, 3.52 ERA, not horrible. Eric Fetty, ERA close to 4. I mean, that's where Fetty's usually going to be, so I'm not really mad at that for a third starter. Palante's having a good bounce back year, 3-7 record, ERA under 4. And then Walker Buehler's been a solid pickup as well, so maybe we can move him for something. And then we have Quinn Matthews, who's been decent, ERA under 5. Zach Thompson's been horrible, ERA close over 9. How about Zach Thompson's been awful as well? Maybe the bullpen's the reason we've been struggling so much. ERA over 6. Darren Benjamin's been consistent for us. ERA up a little bit from last year, but I'll still take an ERA under 4. Kyle Leahy with a good bounce back season, 2.25 ERA for him. Sam Hinches has been another key pickup for us, 1.85 ERA. Jason Foley, who we got in the J.J. Romero deal, great season for him. And then Raisel Iglesias has not been good, so we might have to move Sam Hinches back to the closer role again. So the question is, who do we move off of? We're obviously not doing nothing this season. We have a lot of veterans who are on expiring contracts. If you look at our roster, you can look, Sonny Gray's on an expiring deal, but he's starting to drop a lot. He's getting up there in age. Walker Buehler's on an expiring contract. Do we move him? Eric Fetty's a good veteran. Do we move him? Do we move Rangers Flores? We just signed that big deal. Zach Jackson could be somebody we move just to get him off the team. Iglesias is on an expiring deal, even though he won't have a lot of value. Contreras, we need to get off his deal. Moncada has some value. And maybe we move some of these outfielders. Jordan Walker, unfortunately, did get hurt. If you guys are wondering why he wasn't shown, was having an okay season. He has a torn pectoral muscle, so he'll be back hopefully by at least August. But I got a lot of decisions to make, so if I make any big ones, I'll show you guys, and we'll get on with this final season. Trade to the Baltimore Orioles for Drew Thorpe, 25-year-old starting pitcher, could give us some good depth, maybe be a key piece for us in the next final season. And then Keegan Aiken, who's a good bullpen piece, so it helps us move off Sonny Gray's contract. Just the Dodgers for Michael Kopech. He's only 29 compared to 36. Taking a flyer on him, not a huge return. Watch see how it pans out. We're going to move Wilson Contreras and Clint Bethea, who's our young shortstop. He's not going to amount to much in this franchise. We got to attach something to get rid of Wilson Contreras. And we're getting Bryce Eldridge, who's a 21-year-old first baseman. Maybe we can use him for a future trade, but we got to get off this Contreras contract. Buehler and Rangers Flores to the Phillies for Jesus Luzardo, Orion Kerkering, and Floyd Hoyer. So we get a young relief pitcher to put in our relief core and Jesus Luzardo. Next season, obviously we have a lot of cap space available. We can go out and make some deals. Eric Fetty's going to be our veteran. We got Jesus Luzardo, who is a free agent after this season, but we did get Orion in that deal. And that's really the main thing. This guy is only 24 years of age. I think he's going to be a key, maybe even be our closer. I actually might make him the closer real quick because we don't have a closer. But I do think, Drew Thorpe could amount to something. We'll have to see. We have a very young rotation. I'm just going to let the young players really play the rest of the season, see how that pans out. And we'll have to see. I mean, first base, we might just let Lucan Baker play. Why not? I mean, even Bryce Eldridge, who's playing well at the major leagues this year, maybe we platoon them. And everything else, I mean, we'll just have to see. I mean, hopefully we get some free agents because it was very tough. So all of a sudden, at the end of the season, we'll see how our team's looking. We got one more season to at least try to make the playoffs. This has been a very disappointing franchise so far. Even though the Cardinals aren't really a great team, we expected to at least try to make a playoff run. So let's say everybody did and how our season. When we end up finishing 69-93, just even worse than last year, we really got to get some free agents in here and try to make it run because the Brewers and Cubs ain't going nowhere. The Pirates and Reds are better than us right now. So we got a lot of work to do. Let's say everybody did before we get this last season underway. So Mason Wynn just hasn't provided a lot of offense, but I hope next season really the year he gets in gear and really helps us make a playoff run. Lars Newbar, not a great season at all, was really not good. Only 7 home runs, only hit 247. Brendan Donovan was fantastic. 15 home runs, 71 RBIs, hit 310. Nolan Gorman with another great year. He's really been our main power guy. Him and Burleson, 25 home runs, 71 RBIs. Numbers a little down, but still a great season. Burleson, career year, power-wise, 28 home runs, so 3 straight years of 20-plus home runs for Burley, and hopefully he keeps it up. Josh Young was a good pickup, 22 home runs, 73 RBIs. So we got 3 middle-of-the-order bats right here, providing 20-plus home runs. Jordan Walker just didn't really get going after a great year last year. Hopefully he bounces back. Lucan Baker didn't do much in limited time. Pedro Pajes. Okay, where is Ivan Herrera hurt? Why is he not? Okay, he's hurt. Okay, torn calf. So Ivan Herrera had a solid year, 14 home runs, 51 RBI. I thought they just sent him down to the AAA. I was like, what is going on? So let's see. Thomas and JC didn't provide a lot offensively. Yohan Moncada was a good free agency pickup. Michael Ciani had a better year offensively, but you're not going to get a lot. And then Bryce Eldridge, who we got from the Giants, actually provided good offense. So maybe he's a bench bat for the future, can also play the outfield. So let's take a look at our starting rotation. Jesus Luzardo had a solid year. Maybe we bring him back, but I think we're going for the bigger fish in free agency. I don't know why Orion is in the rotation. That's weird. Quinn Matthews, not great record-wise. Solid year, though. Eric Fetty, another solid year for him. He's just Mr. Reliable at this point. You're always going to get an ERA around 3.5 with him. Andre Palante, for a 4-starter, I'll take an ERA of 4.23. And then Drew Thorpe with a good year, 3.92 ERA. Orion, good year. I think he'll be our closer in the future. I really do. I think he's a key part of our bullpen. Or obviously, he is a key part. He's the highest overall we have in the bullpen. So he has to be a key part of it next year. Michael Kopech, not a great year. Got another year arbitration. We'll see if we bring him back. Tinkens was fantastic in 23 innings, 2.86 ERA. Zach Jackson did not have a good season at all. Darren Benjamin's been Mr. Reliable so far for us. I don't know how his overall is dropping. Sam Hinches, another guy who's been amazing, 2.27 ERA. And then Keegan Aiken, not a great year for him. I know we got him in the trade, but he was more just a dead piece, just awful. Jason Foley, good year for him. And then Orion, we already talked about him. So what does this team need? Obviously, we need a big bat in the lineup. I know we got 3 guys with 20-plus home. We need like that feared bat in the lineup. We don't really have a guy you face in the playoffs where you go, man, I don't want to face him. I think we need a big bat. Maybe we look to trade. I think we need a first baseman, center fielder. Maybe we look to trade Newt. He's just not been able to stay healthy in this franchise so far. We got some key decisions to make. It's gonna be a long off season. Then pitching wise, I mean, we need some pitching help. I mean, our rotation's solid, but we don't even have anybody 85 and up. Bullpen, I think bullpen would be our least priority. But if there's somebody out there who wants to come to St. Louis, then we'll have to see. I know I didn't show this in the first season, but let's see who wins the World Series real quick. The Mariners, who won last year, so the Mariners have won back-to-back World Series. That's pretty amazing to see. So I'm going to get on with this offseason. I will show you guys how our team's looking for this third and final season. They get underway, and we made some moves. Are they going to make us a playoff contender? We'll have to see. We got Shane Bieber. I really went after a lot of top starting pitchers. I had to offer him a little bit more than probably what I wanted, $28.1 million until 2032. We had a really good year last year. He's the ace we needed. We got Eric Fetty still in the rotation. We ended up bringing back Luzardo because there just wasn't really a lot of starting pitchers out there that were better if they weren't aces. So we brought him back. He'll be our third starter. We'll give Drew Thorpe the 4th spot, and then Quinn Matthews and Palante and Tinkins will all compete to get that 5th spot. Bullpen didn't really make a lot of moves, but like our bullpen's pretty solid. Maybe we'll look at the trade deadline. Catcher, Herrera, and Pajes. We signed Ryan Mountcastle to a 5-year deal, adds a big power bat to our lineup. Well, not a big power bat. I thought his power was actually a little bit better than what it was, but he had 16 home runs last year. Adds another bat to our lineup. He's 30 years old. Hopefully he can get that power back he had a few years ago with the Orioles. And we had Nolan Gorman, Josh Young. Moncada will still be here as a bench bat, final year of his deal. Mason Wynn, Brendan Donovan, Michael Ciani. And then I kept Newt, but listen, if there's a big bat out there, trade deadline, I'm getting it because we are going to have to try to make a run. So I'm going to go ahead and get this season going. Hopefully this is the season, y'all. Final season. Let's get it. We are our final trade deadline of this franchise. We're sitting 9 games over 500, 4 games out. Pirates are in second place. Cubs are 8.5 back. Reds 8.5 back. Brewers are Not running away with the division by any means. Let's say everybody's been performing and what moves we potentially need to make. So we look at the starting rotation. Shane Bieber's been as good as advertised, 6-6, 2.8 ERA. Very good for him. You look at Eric Fetty again, just Mr. Reliable. Really glad we re-signed him. He's been very, very good for us. Drew Thorpe has not been great, 4-6, 5.29 ERA. Quinn Matthews has been great, 6-5, 3.59. And then Jesus Luzardo for a fifth starter, an ERA under 5, I'll take. I definitely expected better considering the money we gave him in that contract. Andre Palante, we might actually have to move Drew Thorpe to the bullpen to put Palante in the starting rotation. I think that's the wave right now. 4.18 ERA. Tink Hens, not great. ERA close to 6. Zach Jackson, good bounce back year for him. 6-0 ERA under 4. Darren Benjamin's been fantastic. 2.05 ERA. Zach Thompson's been solid for us. ERA under 4. Ryan Fernandez just hasn't been able to be really that good since 2025. And then Orion's really been disappointing. 23 saves, had 6 blown saves, 10 losses, a 1-10 record. So he's just not been good. We had to move him out of the closer role. And we put Jason Foley in the closer role, and he's been solid, 2.92 ERA. We did have an injury to our bullpen. Sam Hinges, who's been one of our best relievers since we got him, out the whole season with a torn labrum. Very unfortunate. He's having a great season. So let's take a look at the lineup. Lars Nootbaar, great season so far. He's been able to stay healthy for the most part. 12 home runs, 37 RBIs for Newt. Mason Wynn's finally having the season I expect him to have really early on. Hitting for average, more power. Brennan Donovan, just been solid this whole franchise, hitting for average. Nolan Gorman with 17 home runs. He's been providing power. That's what you want from Nolan Gorman. And Alec Burleson, how about him as well? 20 home runs at the All-Star or at the trade deadline. So he's probably going to get his first career 30 home run campaign if he can stay healthy. Josh Young, not really been good so far. 12 home runs. Power is definitely down. Jordan Walker's not been great either, which is unfortunate because after 2025, I thought, okay, Jordan Walker's going to start developing. He's going to be maybe an 80 overall by now. He's going to be giving us 20 home runs a year. He just has not been able to do that. Ryan Mountcastle's not been a great pickup. Only 7 home runs, 41 home runs, only hit 204. Really been disappointing. And then we had Ivan Herrera get hurt as well. I have to check after this how long he's out. But Pedro Pius, 7 home runs. I mean, he's hitting 9th. I'm not really too mad at that. We had to call up Yohel Pozo, who's not done much in limited time. Lucan Baker's been raking in limited time. Yohan Moncada, again, just been a guy who's been a great pickup for our bench. And then Michael Ciani really there for an extra outfielder. So Ivan Herrera's out 1 to 2 months with a broken hand, was really having a great season, hitting for average, slugged 500. So he's really just, unfortunately, got hurt at a bad time. So when we look at what we need, we're going to try to make a playoff run. I think we could use another starter. If we can't get one, I'm not going to be too mad. Bullpen, I think we could use another arm if we could see one on the trade block. And then for the lineup, I mean, our lineup's not horrible. I mean, could we go out and get maybe a replacement for Ryan Mountcastle or Jordan Walker, which I don't know why they keep putting Jordan Walker in center field. Yes. We'll have to see what's out there, though. So I'm going to look through everything and see if there's any moves we can make before we try to make this final season a playoff run. Trade for Tristan Casas. And I wouldn't trade Weatherholt if I was doing a long-term franchise because he's playing really well. You could argue he could be a bench bat for us, but I want to be an everyday player. He is raking right now in AAA. And again, if this was a 5-year franchise, I wouldn't do this trade at all. But we need to try to make the playoffs. Mountcastle has not worked out. So we're going to trade J.J. Weatherholt with Ryan Mountcastle for Tristan Casas, who has 20 home runs, 60 RBIs. We add him with Gorman and Burleson. We get another big lefty bat in that lineup. And he's only 27, so I think this is a great move for this year. But again, if this was a long-term franchise, I would never do that trade. Shane Bieber led the league in WHIP. And unfortunately, it looks like we ain't making the playoffs for a 3rd straight year. 500 record. Brewers win 91 games. And unfortunately, this franchise didn't go the way I hoped. The Cardinals are obviously my favorite team, like most of y'all know. I was really hoping to have success with this team, and it just didn't really happen. So we look at the lineup, how did everybody finish this franchise? Brennan Donovan did what he needed to do in this franchise. Gave us good numbers, good power, and he just did what he needed to do. Mason Wynn with 21 home runs to end the franchise. That's great to see, getting that power up. Tristan Casas was a good move. We just, for some reason, just fell apart in the second half, which is the same thing happened in the first season. Gorman with 28 home runs. Josh Young, solid season in the end of it. Lars Nootbaar, 18 home runs for him. 28 home runs for Burleson. So we had a lot of guys hitting. Gordon Walker, not really a fantastic franchise tenure for him. Ivan Herrera was hurt, but when he did play, he hit. And then we look at the bench. Luke and Baker raked. Pedro Pajes gave us solid production as a backup catcher. Yohan Moncada was solid off the bench. And Michael Ciani, more for defense. Then we look at the pitching side. Shane Bieber, great pickup for us, 11 and 10, ERA under 3. Eric Fetty, I've talked about him enough, Mr. Reliable. And then we have Quinn Matthews, had an okay season. And then Jesus Luzardo was not good at all. Andre Palante was not great. Looks like our pitching really fell apart in the second half, especially like the back end of our rotation and bullpen. Tink Hintz, Takeo Roby, Zach Jackson fell apart in the second half. Darren Benjamin, what a great pickup he was in this franchise. Zach Thompson, solid year. Ryan Fernandez just couldn't get it together after year one. And Orion, really, this guy was the guy I thought was going to be our lights out closer. Was young. He was an 83 overall. I thought, okay, we're getting this guy. He's going to be lights out, and he just couldn't get it together either. And then Jason Foley was a great pickup as well. So I'll see who wins the World Series real quick. Guardians. So Guardians and Mariners. So that'll do it for this franchise. I'm glad to be back making content for y'all. If any of y'all enjoy my MLB The Show franchise content, it will be every single week. Make sure to check out the wrestling channel that we've been working on as well, the LTQ Wrestling Crew podcast channel. It will be in the description. So make sure to like and subscribe for both channels. Check out QJ's channel as well. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Peace.